Nothing is working anymore. Everything you've been doing for the last number of years is slowly falling apart. And with it, your sense of identity, who you thought you were, is slipping away. You're feeling almost like you're wandering a desert, aimless, confused, maybe slightly disassociated from what's going on. And you're trying to find a way out. Well, today, I want to share with you a couple strategies that have helped me during that time. And it's helped me navigate the terrain of identity loss, move towards a more ego soul integrated lifestyle. Worked for me. It's also worked wonders for the clients that I have calls with on a regular basis. And so I'm so excited to share this with you. You see, identity loss comes at the point when the soul no longer wants to tag along with what the ego is doing. Because as we live through the ego, suppress everything that's going on below the surface, our pains, our traumas, the emotional knots, everything that we've been living with for a long time that has shaped the way we see everything is slowly changing. And when the soul no longer partakes, everything starts to crack. You feel this buildup of resistance. This inner conflict becomes overwhelming. And then one day you wake up and you say, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't want to do anything anymore. But this, as a quick reminder, is a beautiful opportunity. This is an opportunity to transcend yourself to a higher level of existence, where parts of your unconscious are now made conscious. You are accepting both the good parts of you and the so-called bad parts of you. They have been unionized. And so how do you get this to move forward? How do you begin this process? Well, of course, you want to always make sure you tackle internal work. You want to always make sure anything of pain, of trauma, gets brought up to the forefront to contend with curiosity, adventure, love, compassion, and a firm hand. But oftentimes, if that is too tight, too difficult right off the bat, there's other ways you can do this. And to sort of elicit this change, move it in a good direction. Okay. If you look at your living environment, if you look at your circle of friends, there are patterns within it that will emerge if you observe closely. If, for example, there is unmet challenges within you, stories, emotions that we have not dealt with and managed and also integrated, they will manifest themselves around you. Perhaps as a section of the house that you've left to collect dust. Garbage is piled up, disorganized desk. Or maybe there's another area of the house that is super polished and you find yourself hyper fixated on cleaning this one area as a way to balance out the internal conflict. Or maybe you have a group of friends that have sort of either not challenged your way of thinking, maybe kept you at the level that you are right now. Or maybe you have some friends that have been trying to pull you forward. And maybe we've been ignoring it, and maybe we've been taking their advice slightly, not fully. And so the first thing you want to try to do is to clean up your environment. Because if you clean up your environment, that will connect to the internal. So you clean up the corner of your house that you've been neglecting. File everything. Stack, organize. Do the same with every part of your house. Make your bed in the morning. Make yourself breakfast. Start to act as if you care. Now, the next step to this is your circle of friends. Now, I'm a big believer in loyalty, and I believe in my heart that if someone's been with you for your whole life, you don't want to just cast it away for silly reasons. But something's really important that you have to understand is that if you are transcending and transitioning, it is very important that you either will get support, encouragement, and not doubt. But obviously, if they're expressing concerns, it comes from a place of care. But if you feel it's coming from a place of envy and jealousy and feeling like they're going to lose you, right? Lose the person who they think you are. Because for some, changing identity and transitioning is a foreign thing. It doesn't make sense. Perhaps some people are so stuck in their way. And it's not your duty to change them. You can't change anybody unless they're willing to. Unless they're willing to walk that path with you. And so you have to make a difficult decision. Bring them along, elevate, express to them what it is you're trying to do here, what it is you're dealing with, and where you want to go. If they express support, that's fantastic. If they express a rejection and a distaste for what you're doing, I can't make the call and say you have to cut them off, just part your ways. I cannot say that, but I'm sure if those of you who are listening to this know the answer to that question. And now the next thing you want to move towards is recognizing your pattern of thinking. See, as we exist in the realm of ego and we cut off the soul, it's very difficult to find that connection right away. And so I shouldn't say the quickest, but the path forward towards connecting with your soul once again is pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to which emotion you are quick to connect with. See, we're full of stories. We are full of loop patterns, as I call it. Thoughts and images and emotions wrapped together into a cycle. You're in an experience, you're in a party, you're at a sporting event, you're at your job, and somebody does something that signals a stimulus, something that reminds you of your pain that sits in the unconscious. And that springs something, maybe an emotion of anger. That anger turns to pictures. Maybe you picture them falling over and breaking a leg. Maybe you picture hurting them. Maybe you picture them being rejected by everybody and you get to enjoy and have pleasure in that. Or it comes into words. You start saying certain things in your head about them. Or maybe you start saying certain things about yourself. How you're not worthy. How they get everything because they deserve everything and you don't deserve anything. You want to pay attention to the loop cycle. Observe it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to control it. Watch it. Be an observer. As you do that, and I would also recommend you journal this, write it down in a notebook so that way you can actually start to see the pattern emerge over time. And remember, curiosity, adventure, love, compassion, and a firm hand. Be graceful. Show humility to yourself, patience, but also don't let yourself get away with it. It's a fine balance you have to strike. Then you want to pay attention as you get more comfortable with your loop patterns, the emotions that you tend to go to. So for me, as an example, anger for a number of years was the go-to emotion, but behind the anger was sadness, resentment, frustration. It was a little boy behind that anger. Anger comes off as strength, the illusion of strength. And so find the emotion that you're connected to, and that emotion connects directly down. If you dig consistently downward, it connects to something in the unconscious. It connects to a deeper story, a deeper energy. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where you were neglected, subtly. We often see stories of people who have big traumatic events, people who have been physically abused, people who have been sexually abused, been through war. And so oftentimes in the modern world, we have the absolute privilege and luxury that we don't come across those events. We should be thankful that we don't. And we should have compassion and understanding for those that do. But at the same time, it doesn't mean we don't experience mild, subtle hits consistently over time for years and years. And so some of us will have, let's say, a parent not give us that physical affection ever. But they still took care of you. They still drove you to where you needed to go. But you were left longing for touch. You were left longing for connection, physical connection. But you never really knew because other things were okay. That's in my trauma map. I call that in the low arousal state of fight, flight, freeze. It didn't spark anything dramatic. It didn't spark an insane memory. But it was multiple memories that conglomerate into one emotion that you feel over time, which is desperation. Perhaps you were always desperate for a relationship, desperate for friendship. And you always felt possessed by it. You couldn't control it when it came around you, or when you felt that you were so close to a relationship and they started to go away and pull away, you felt this crazy power and urge that you had to bring him in, and obviously you scare them off if you do that. And so I'm also speaking to the individual that has experienced mild soft trauma over time, accumulated day after day after day. And so it links to that. When you look at your emotions and what you repeat over time, it links directly to it. And if you meditate and sit on it, don't rush the process, one day, boom, the answer will come to you. It was because of X, Y, and Z. Now, when you first make this acknowledgement, what you're going to notice is you might be frustrated and angry at the individual who maybe did that to you, or maybe angry at yourself. And that's okay. Allow that process to play out. When that process plays itself out and you stay concentrated on the goal, which is ego-soul integration, your goal is to make the unconscious conscious. If you stay on that razor's edge, down center, you will then get to the point where you will let go of the story that no longer serves you. That this desperate individual that craves touch, craves attention, is not a bad person. And in fact, when you harness this power, then you can translate it into something of purpose. Something that says, I want to put myself last so that my people can eat first or can play first. But of course, like I said, you strike a right balance. But if you strike that balance, that once weakness becomes your greatest asset. The pain that you've experienced provides you the key to living an integrated, full, unique life. Try out the process. Of course, every person has a different story. Every person's context is different. Feel free to comment down below your story you want to share with this community. This community is all about ego-soul integration, navigating through identity loss. And at the other side, when you integrate as much as possible, you'll be met with internally the spirit and the power of God, power of the universe. You'll feel it within you. It's always been within you, just buried. And as you unmask that, you'll feel calm, detached from the games of the world, but not detached where you don't want to participate out of rebellion, but instead you transcend to a higher plane of game, where you seek balance and wholeness and want to bring beauty to the world, to your family, to your society, to your mental health, your spiritual health. And so you can comment below, share your story. I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. It's my absolute pleasure. And if this resonated with you and you want to go deeper, you can click that button below and you can sign up to my monthly newsletter. And I'll send you my 3-step identity rebuilding guide. It's a toolkit to help you navigate the process of identity loss. And it was something that I built out when I was going through it and I felt confused and I had no community to be a part of. And so it brings me great pleasure to pass this to you. And this community we talk about in the newsletter, rebuilding purpose, rediscovering who you truly are, and then moving towards an ego-soul integrated lifestyle. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.